The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Fantastic Forum, assemble. You are watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and pop culture. We are the Fantastic Forum, coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case would be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, you stick with us. We'll help you take it up a notch. You have the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our intrepid senior reporter. He's next in line for the cowl. He is our resident Dark Knight detective. It's Oz.
I like that I try to avoid cursing on YouTube, but we open the show with a curse.
Indeed. We're good for that.
I think you could do one.
You get the one out of the way in the first 10 seconds.
Bam. There it is. Next, he is a riddle inside of an enigma, trapped in Chinese finger cuffs. You don't know him. You love him anyway. He's our silent assassin, Jay.
We actually don't want to be too kid-friendly.
Yeah.
Because they'll take away our comment section.
Oh, okay.
I might be
kids,
okay with that.
Kids don't get speech. Next.
Well, yeah, if a video is for kids, the comment section's automatically removed. And so a lot of YouTubers, or some I've seen, have been like making their content edgier just to make sure it doesn't fall in that category so that people can still comment.
That's what we need to do. Make it edgier.
Yeah. We were ahead of our time.
Indeed. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the backbone, the pillar, the strength of Fantastic Forum, our nigh invulnerable brawler and resident strongman, Moses Magnum. He's like, dun, dun, dun.
Hey. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. And as for myself,
I think we're almost reaching the limit, right? Like after tomorrow, you can't say it anymore. Like, isn't that the rule?
I don't even know what the etiquette is. I don't know.
I never go past the third.
I try not to, but there's people that I would normally see. But this week, the third was like an extra longer weekend. So I had to say it today, and it felt weird.
Listen, I feel like I very well have said Happy New Year all the way going into like mid-February.
Technically, Chinese New Year is in February, so
see, there you go.
Fun, right?
Bam.
And then Japanese New Year too, right?
I don't know.
I
don't get money for Japanese New Year, so
no.
I think it's the same around the same time.
Commercialization of the holidays. As for myself, I'm Lawrence Young. They call me Mir Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. We got a great show for you today. We are going to be talking to you all about King Conan, #1. We're going to be talking to you all about Robins, #1. And we're going to be talking to you all about Batgirls, #1. So full show for you. And of course, whatever else it is that you all want to talk about. But before we do all that, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, because without him, the show would not exist. So thank you, Scott. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a happy new year. And yeah. So, gents, look, did everybody have a good Christmas? You all what was your New Year's Eve actually happy? Jay's like, no. He's like, no. Like, what happened?
Jay's just disappointed in you, man.
No, my Christmas sucked.
Oh
no, Christmas sucked for me.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to hear that. Jay.
Like everything was closed. I couldn't do shit.
Isn't it every year on Christmas?
No.
No, normally stuff is open.
Yeah.
But this year everything was closed. And
some stuff is open.
Even some of the stuff that was open, they were like open at the wrong time.
Yeah,
like
for
the
4 hours.
website said they were going to be open at 9, but they didn't really open until like 12. And then I'm on the bus and it's fucking raining on and off. It's like I'm not going to sit there. And then the fucking Denny's, I'm boycotting it near them. So it's like, it was just, yeah, it was a mess.
You're boycotting that specific Denny's, or are you boycotting like all of them?
No, that specific one.
What
they wouldn't let me in.
What did they do to you?
They wouldn't let me
in.
Yeah, I went in one night, like after going to the movies. Like it was like 11 o'clock or so. So I was gonna go get something to eat before going home, and they wouldn't let me in. And it was like they said they were closed. They're only open to takeout, which Denny's are supposed to be 24 hours, like every single one. But they're like, we're closed for only takeout. And I can see in the window, like there's a family eating. So it's like what I don't understand what's going on here. So I've decided to boycott that particular Denny's.
Well, I'm going for you, Jay, in solidarity. I'm boycotting every Denny's.
But Denny's is awesome. Like you could get bacon, eggs, and pancakes for like $5.
Yeah, not after 11.
I mean, just at that one.
I think it's all of them now because of COVID. They don't.
They're all open. Yeah, it's just that one.
Which one is it? So that we know, like the audience knows which one.
The one downtown, downtown Los Angeles.
Okay.
There's one on Figueroa. The one on Figueroa.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
By 9th or something, right? Something like that.
By what?
By 9th and Figueroa?
9th Street?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one where I had, oddly enough, I had dinner there after midnight with Derek H. when I first met him.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, I saw you leaving, and I waved, and it was like, dang, wait a minute.
We were with a family that was eating.
Right, most the family that was eating. That's hilarious.
Derek said, "Don't let that guy in."
We went at you didn't wave back.
Oh man,
yeah, that
that's so crazy.
That would, that first of all, that wouldn't have happened, but it would have been so funny if it did.
It would have been.
Like,
yeah.
I should also mention that if you want to go ahead and hit us in chat, we'll take your comments out of chat and bring them into the show, such as boom right here, Jay.
Alfonso Ceja says Denny's is amazing, and he's right. He also says Moon's over in Miami for life.
Yeah. I think
let's be. Before. Denny's is good. It's not amazing, right?
For the price,
at 2 a.m, it's pretty good.
Okay.
2, 3 in the morning after like 8 or 9 shots. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's the culinary equivalent of the fat chick at the bar.
It's like, this is what I got at the end of the night, huh?
Yeah.
So what's open.
That and what, Del Taco? But Del Taco. Yeah. I'd rather have Del Taco than Wendy's.
Yeah, but
and Denny's.
Del Taco, they closed their lobby. And they don't always let you walk up to the drive-thru.
That's true. Yeah, that is 100%. That's 100% true. Like, this is first world problem.
I was laughing, but it's true. Like, some will let you walk up to the drive-thru, and some will not.
Yeah, I had that problem with the rallies once.
Yeah,
rallies is a walk-up restaurant.
I was about to say, like, all rallies are walk-up,
and they close because they don't want people sitting there after a certain hour at night in South Central. And then we went to the window. They're like, you can't be at the window. I'm like, well, can I go to that window? We're closed at that window. And I'm like, but we're hungry.
We're hungry. We're hungry. They're like, where's your car? Where's your car?
Yeah. They find somebody with a car. It's like, how the hell are two 12-year-old kids at 3 a.m. going to find somebody with a car and get in there just to get some rallies while they're stoned?
Yeah, the question isn't why are 12-year-old kids walking around at 3 a.m.
Right.
Well,
the rallies is what we're worried about.
In chat, Tire Claus says, "What's up, Fantastic Forum? Have you guys watched the Book of Boba Fett? Episode 2 came out today, and a character shows up that has taken directly from the comics, or was taken. That's all fine and well. I
haven't seen it,
but
I can imagine who that might be.
Lucky you. Yeah, have fun.
Yes, you heard it's amazing.
Oh, you haven't watched it either?
No.
Okay.
I forgot it came out.
I've been busy.
Look, since you guys haven't seen it, I just want to ask Joe a question to gauge his excitement after he watches this episode. Would you like Boba Fett to spare a child Tusken Raider?
No.
Right, just on principle, right? But if that child Tusken Raider is your slaver, and you have a chance to be free because there's this big giant lizard coming after it, you kill the lizard, break your chain. Would you, as Boba Fett, still walk that child Tusken Raider back to the village? It's Disney's Boba Fett.
I know Boba. I know he's not evil or anything. He doesn't kill for unnecessarily.
He incinerated
and he definitely
Luke's
has
family. How is he not a killer?
What?
He incinerated Luke's family?
Yeah, when they find Uncle Ben or whatever his name is, he's all skeleton and burned. That was Boba Fett.
Yeah,
that was Boba Fett that did that.
Yeah, that's what Vader's when next time he sees him is like, hey, don't be burning them up like that no more. Not this time.
We need them alive.
Yeah, that was for work. That's different. He's not out there murdering for fun.
Either way, but even
as his job.
As a scoundrel, he's opportunist at the very least, right?
But that kid is not a threat.
But a quick question.
He's a slave. The kid is his slave handler.
The way you asked that question, is it that he could have just not done anything and the kid would have been killed by the giant lizard, or did he?
Right. First of all, he could have killed.
He wouldn't have to kill the kid at all. The lizard would have got him, is what you're saying.
He would have let the lizard get him and then kill the lizard after and leave.
Right. So it's not like he had to kill the child
and leave.
Yeah, he didn't have to kill the child. He could just sit back.
It's essentially Dances with Wolves, but Dances with Tusken Raiders. Which I hate because there's already a Star Wars story of a Jedi that does that. And that's what they're doing here, is that Jedi Outlander story. And, but they're doing it with the wrong character, and a character that I don't perceive would do that, And I think the show itself also suffers from the fact that all the badassery that we would have loved to see from a Boba Fett show, we got from The Mandalorian, including the Heart of Gold thing, the scoundrel with the Heart of Gold thing. So there's nothing for them to do. Also, Dave Filoni isn't working on this. It's just Favreau on himself. So he's the guy that gave us the live action Lion King. So, yeah.
Wait, so are we disparaging Jon Favreau?
I'm not disparaging. I'm a fan. And that's why I was excited going into this. But he needs Filoni to be like,
No, Filoni.
Boba Fett might not do that. No.
When we're talking about Star Wars stuff, it's better with Filoni. I agree with you on that.
You watch Dave Filoni Star Wars stuff where Dave is alone essentially with no co-creator or no co-worker, no equal. And then you've watched the stuff he did with Jon Favreau. Now you get to see Jon Favreau without Dave Filoni, and it's a different show.
No, I mean, I won't disagree with you. Also, too, I think that there is definitely something to be said about like Boba Fett when he has his helmet on versus when he doesn't have his helmet on. Because it's like my man can only do so much. And then you put the helmet on, and then the stunt guy gets to do it for him.
He literally he dominated the kid's reptile dog. The reptile dog listens to Boba Fett, and he still just leaves. Yeah, it all, and then at the end, his reward for bringing the child back, he gets a glass of water, and he's thankful.
That's a big deal. He's in a desert.
He could have slaughtered that whole village for all that water. Get the fuck out of here.
You think Boba Fett with no armor or weapons can take an entire village of Tusken Raiders?
If he can't do it without the armor, he doesn't deserve it.
That's the Mandalorian creed.
Yeah,
I 100% think that's not the case. People make a big deal about the armor for a reason.
Yeah.
listen. The friggin' Mando would be dead if he didn't have full Beskar armor. We would have watched him die 3 different times.
Larry,
how's
is
that
that
a
the
whole
defensive
situation?
Nah, because it's Disney's Boba Fett. You love it. You love it already.
I mean,
I love it. I'm saying you're wrong about lack of armor. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about what Mandalorians do. I'm not saying I didn't even give you a on the show.
Let's see.
Mando went for years without the Beskar, and he was fine.
That's true.
Wait, his
original armor.
Oh, he went years without it. Okay, I see what you're saying. But look, he was probably he was doing regular bounty hunting. He wasn't out here trying to topple empires.
Tusken Raiders, little children.
What?
You're right. He wasn't hunting little children.
Listen, I feel like you say that. I feel like a Tusken Raider child could take you.
Yeah, but I'm not a bounty hunter, and I'm not Vader's go-to bounty hunter. I'm not willing to burn somebody's uncle and aunt just because I'm mad that
you're not going to burn.
Nothing.
You're not going to burn nobody without the armor. That's the whole point I make it. The armor has the flamethrower on it.
You don't need. I'm telling you, you don't need it. The humidity is just right. You can start a fire like that, man.
He's he just had a magnifying glass. He's gotcha.
Yeah, a mirror. That don't mean
a mirror.
Plus, they got electronics in there. They got a rug in there. Man, you could at least suffocate them with smoke.
What's Alfonso
says Disney loves turning bad guys into good guys. Cruella's mom was killed by Dalmatians. Oh, that's.
I will say these reimaginings have been really they've been pretty good, and Cruella in particular was actually a really good movie.
Cruella was
Cruella implies that the Dalmatians that give birth to the 101 were brother and sister.
Does that matter to dogs?
No.
That's how you get purebreds. Your husky was probably his uncle daddy. Had an uncle daddy.
That's how if I can't do it, then the animals can't do it.
Yeah.
It's all right, Oz, man. Do what you do, man. Love is love.
Yeah. I'm not gonna pass a law against it. Oh wait, it already happened. Tiger Claw says episode 2 was awesome. There's really cool action scenes. Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna keep watching it, but it's not it's Disney's Boba Fett. I put this is in the category with the new movies. Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. If you're talking about
you're still not
if you're talking about the sequel trilogy, it's dude. I mean, honestly, what you're feeling is not as good as The Mandalorian, which I agree with you. You're right. It's not as good as The Mandalorian.
Look, Larry. I mean, Jay, please. You know a little more about Boba Fett than I do from the other material. We have enough stuff to do Boba Fett stuff well.
Okay, so
I assume he could hear me, but he doesn't. Look,
Yeah,
Larry,
sorry.
Larry, I know what you're gonna
I'm
say
having
once
an
you
issue
do
with
watch
this
it.
camera.
I know what you're gonna do.
now what's happening? So he
I think-
thinks he's
I
when he
think-
jerks off.
All this to say, Larry, I know you haven't seen it, so you can't really speak on it, but I already know what you will say
What?
when you
Why
watch it.
have I not seen it?
You said you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen episode 2. That's all the first episode.
Oh, I mean, you said you didn't watch it.
I didn't. That's just what you wanted to hear.
No, like Tarek Law said, have you guys watched the Book of Boba Fett? Episode 2 came out. I answered the first question in general. I seen it.
Oh, well, he asked about episode 2. I said I haven't seen episode 2.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
you mad at me because you misunderstood.
I'm not
I don't
mad
know
at you.
why. I don't
I'm not
understand.
mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at John Favreau.
Okay, so what are we rating the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett?
I
Hold on.
give it
Someone else has
5.
to-
I give it 5 tops of Jay's heads.
Someone else is gonna chime in.
5 domes.
Uh-oh. Five
That looks
milk
like-
duds.
That looked like Uncle Aaron and Maroon's house. Boba Fett might have set it on fire.
Oh, jeez, man.
What's that for, Jay?
So Dan Slott tweeted the second episode of the Book of Boba Fett is more Star Wars than Star Wars. It is the Star Warsiest Star Wars of them all. If you cut it, it would bleed Star Wars, and then that blood would grow into a new Star Wars. So Dan Slott loved it, apparently.
Yeah. But you also
Wow.
Look, here's the thing.
Now Mo
He's
has
the
to
big-
excommunicate
No.
Dan Slott.
I already knew that about him because the day that Disney bought Marvel, he changed his profile picture to him wearing a Mickey hat. Like he puts Larry's Mickey cock to shame.
Wait, what?
That's
He had a
What's that
bigger
mean?
Mickey, he's got a bigger
What
Mickey
does that
cock than you.
Listen, I don't know what that means.
You know
and
what it
I'm
means.
just going to go on the record and say I don't think that that's
Yeah.
true.
It is. Look at that.
I don't know what that
He put
means.
his profile picture. He's like this with a Mickey hat. Like he loves Disneyland. He's one of those weird adults that buys a season pass that has no kids, and he lives in New York.
It's weird.
Yeah,
You don't even have a Disney park near him, huh?
right. Yeah, so,
You got to get on a plane and
There's
travel.
nothing wrong with it. That's
one way or the
him. Do him. Just keep giving me good stories. Which he's done for about the last 10 years. So whatever it takes, man. You do whatever it takes. Now, Larry, you're not writing shit. You're not even making videos for this channel. So you have no. You need to stop watching some of this Disney shit and make some content.
Oh, jeez, man. Mo's coming for my jugular. I'm like, wait, no.
It's a new year.
It's
I
like-
made a resolution to be more supportive of my friends.
He out here abusing me like a Tuscan Raider child.
Yeah,
It's terrible, man. I'm out here getting tossed around by this
yeah.
lizard thing. I can't remember what the name of that animal is. I've seen it once before, I think.
It's
remember
Mickey
what
the
it is.
Lizard.
That's what it is, Mo. But yeah, so
That's the name of this
Okay.
episode, Mickey the Lizard.
we should totally maybe next week we could talk about Book of Boba Fett at length after we've seen a couple more
3
episodes.
episodes.
Yeah. There it is. Achievement unlocked.
Achievement unlocked.
Isn't there better
Larry.
stuff to talk about?
Larry's Mickey cock.
if we could just stop saying that.
In fact,
be
that's
best.
the title of this episode. Larry's
Even though
Mickey.
like I don't like the way it just no.
You like to say
the way
rolls
Mickey
off the
feels?
tongue.
It's the happiest place on earth. It's shaped like the steeple of the Magic Castle.
Oh no. Oh.
The balls are the Mickey's ears.
It's a hidden Mickey.
It's
No.
well, that's what you call it when
See,
you have a honeymoon at the Magic Castle.
Well,
The hidden Mickey.
what I can What I can say is our comments is intact.
Comic book.
Review.
Comic book.
Like review.
Well, not like that, but like.
All right, let's get into it. You all good to start with King Conan?
Yeah.
All right. King Conan, number 1. It's written by Jason Aaron, art by what is it, Mahmood? Is it
Yeah,
Mahmood
Mahmoud
Ansar?
Asrar.
Yeah, and you know, it's basically the story of Conan returning back to his kingdom that he abandoned, and it's all in shambles.
Wait, what?
That you read the wrong King Conan.
Yeah, you read the wrong
Oh.
one.
Did I?
Yeah.
He's nowhere near.
It's not-
He left his kingdom.
Yeah.
That he didn't he come? He had left it and he came back, right?
No.
That may have been where he was sailing to, but he gets shipwrecked at a random ass island that he had no idea where he is. He wasn't home. He was in a random island.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Homer's
I'm like-
it's Conan's Odyssey.
Got you. So wait. So no, I mean I read the right book because I'm looking at the picture,
Yeah.
but I must have been reading too quickly because I thought that was supposed to be the place where he came back to after he had abandoned the kingdom. But I
You
didn't
read the
realize,
book
but
the same way. You read the book the same way I read Tiger Claw's comment, and just answered the right question.
I guess so. But I mean, the book itself is primarily like, if I'm read the right book, it's primarily like a long, like action scene, like a long action fight, like after you get past the first part, right?
Huh?
No,
See that?
I'm saying the book is primarily, the majority of the book is Conan basically fighting that wizard dude.
I'm on Toth. Or
The
Toth.
majority of the book is narration.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's a comic book, Joe, and it's a Conan comic.
It's also Conan. Like Conan is all.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, this is like, while there's action happening, you also get commentary. So, because that's what Conan does.
The wizard is literally having a full-on conversation with him, and Conan's side of the conversation is narration.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's the
It's
strong
like,
side.
read my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Mo, why don't you tell the people then about King Conan number 1 and what you thought of it?
King Conan is Conan's last stand at the edge of the world. That's how they're being they're portraying this, and he's basically traveling back home, and he gets shipwrecked. And it's just he's been shipwrecked before, but here he ends up at it's basically making the first. They're creating the first appearance of Thoth Amon and his rivalry with Conan here, because it's something that whenever he's fought Thoth Amon in original Conan lore, it's always from far away, like he's fighting the minions and all that. They never fight one-on-one, and this is more or less the first fight one-on-one. The Conan series gets after Robert E. Howard died, other people took over, and that there's a little weird shit there. Some of it shit doesn't work. I mean, at this point, Roy Thomas and the other dude, I get the ones that wrote the comics in the 60s, they're almost credited as creators at this point too. So it's there's a little bit of muddy waters when it comes to Conan lore because of that a little bit, but this is like supposed to be that first fight with them, and it's at this weird island where there's maggots in the ocean, and when the sun goes down, the tide goes away instead of coming in more, and all the dead that have been on the island come back. That's where
And Conan punches a vulture.
He punches a vulture, yeah, that too. And he fights Thoth Amon, and it's great Conan, which is something I keep bringing up these Conan books because when I was skeptical when the the rights went back to Marvel from Dark Horse, and but here they put a good team on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, the fight, which you have to forgive me. I'm not a Conan aficionado. So, what's the name of the wizard?
Toth Amon.
Toth Amon.
Or Amon Toth. One of them. He's named after two actual like Babylonian gods. But
okay.
But yeah.
Amon
I don't know which one.
No.
Yeah. I don't know which one comes first off the top of my head.
That's fair. The fight is epic. Mm-hmm. and Mahmoud's art is crazy, man. It's just like it's really good.
I have a little video here of him finishing the page where it shows how Conan became king.
Oh, okay.
I'll play it for you. He did all these colors in the book were done by hand and in watercolor. So I didn't know that until I saw that video.
It looks like a print.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll play it again. And there you go.
So he literally does the watercolor for each.
Yeah.
It must take a ridiculously long time to do that.
That video was shot in October.
Okay.
I am not sure. I don't even have the copy of the book with me, but I'm not sure if it's all done like that or it's just certain pages that he did, because the art it's consistent, but it does have its little weirdness here and there. And I could tell where he kind of rushed, but a rushed Mahmoud Assar is better than any four of us with after the end of the world with all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
right,
definitely better than most artists with time on their hands. But yeah, like that scene itself, when I saw it, I'm like, man, this looks amazing. Like, when you read Conan books or prose stories, you imagine a lot of this shit. Like the way that Robert E. Howard would write, he would tell you about the grit on here, and then he'll probably say the sword ejaculating blood, shit like that. But and then that's what that looks like. The sword's ejaculating blood. Yeah. And it's good stuff. And he really brought that shit. Like when I saw it, that particular page in the digital copy on my iPad looked really good with the colors and the screen and everything, the size, everything. And when I read on his post, I think it was yesterday, right as I was reading it, I was like, man, this shit was on watercolor? Like, it fucking like, damn, this book even that gets a couple more points. Yeah.
I will say that like at the point that this picture comes in the story, if I'm remembering correctly, like it's when Conan is having like basically his life flash before his eyes because he feels like he might die, and so there's like a few different like that. So of course a splash page, and then there's other panels and like larger pictures of other events that like flash before his eyes, and all those pictures are pretty amazing. Like it's some really like it felt like some epic Conan moments, even though some of them I'm just like I don't know if that's something that has actually happened in Conan lore or not, but if it hasn't, I want to read that story too.
I don't, a lot of it hasn't, because a lot of Conan stories are told out of timeline, like out of order. Mm-hmm. They're all short stories, and they're all pretty much him recounting his life to you after he's become king and he's bored of being king. So, and then some of these adventures, like this one, it's every now and then he gets tired of sitting on the throne. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go conquer this city. And then he'll do, or somebody will come to him. It's like, Queen of Apollonia, can you, there's a priest doing this shit with our children. And he's like, crumb, and then he goes and fucks him up, you know. And it turns out it's a portal to a fucking other dimension, and he shows up in Las Vegas trying to get the serpent's crown.
In Las Vegas.
Yeah, if you want that, there's a review, a Fantastic Four one shot of that series. You know, you gotta hit subscribe, like, hit the bell, or you can just go see it. Just give it a like, even if you don't like it.
But yeah, Jay, what'd you think of King Conan?
Gee, I wonder if my opinion will be different than any of the other Conan books we've reviewed, where I said the exact same thing. Oh wait, yeah, it is different because now Conan is fucking with Shuma Gorath, and they're changing his name for the movie. So fuck Conan, fuck King Conan.
That ain't King Conan's fault. They have the right. They're choosing to do that for their own reasons. Like,
don't care.
That story you sent. There's
care.
no sources. No, you have to care because
I don't. They're doing it. They're changing Shuma Gorath's name because Conan has the trademark or the copyright or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So fuck Conan.
But who had the rights to Shuma Gorath?
Conan did.
No. If that was the case, then they couldn't have done that Avengers where they fight Shuma Gorath.
No, that's what they're saying. Originally, Shuma Gorath was from Conan.
I understand. I understand, Joe. Trust me, I do. They've been using it in perpetuity without any litigation.
Mm-hmm.
So they can use it if they want to. They're choosing
Right.
Yeah.
Because of Conan. They're choosing not to because of Conan. That's the reason they're choosing not to.
They have the rights to Conan.
So I'm gonna give this a 1.
Yeah. Like, you blame Disney for that. You gotta blame Disney for that, not Conan.
No.
I mean,
all the blame goes to Conan.
So you didn't like it? Like, what was your like, just for those of us and myself that don't remember what you disliked about Conan books in the past? What is it about the book you dislike?
The writing and the prose doesn't really strike me. The artwork was fine. Like, it gets better towards the end. Like, the scene with the dead bodies is like really good. Like that I liked. The fight was fine. It kind of just drags on.
Really? Wow. Damn, Jay.
Yeah, but if you're a Conan fan, you'll love it because that's what it is. It's like, Conan's not for me. I'm not a huge fan of Conan. The prose hits me wrong. I will say this is a more modern take, so it doesn't bite as hard as like some of the older stuff or some of the more purist Conan writers who like really get that feel, that classic hard English, like the old-timey Joseph, what's his name, style of writing. Joseph Conrad style of just so many goddamn words, like so poorly put together. And it's just like so draining. It's like challenging you to keep reading. And this one isn't as bad as that. So, it's if you like Conan, you'll love it. Like, if you like your Conan with the more modern flair, you'll love this. I don't love it. I mean, I will say, there's like 2 parts of this book that I absolutely love. One is when Conan punches the buzzard. Like, that's just phenomenal. I love that. And the second thing I love is it's after the book. It's after they like do their little spiel, and they're asking for like letters and stuff. And they say Crom doesn't care, but we do. So send us your letters. And that's awesome because Crom doesn't care. Like from everything I've heard about him, like he doesn't give a shit if you live or die.
And
so that's a good reference.
This is how I know Joe loved the book. He's just mad about the Shumagorath thing and having misplaced anger because I read this book, and you know me, Larry, I don't read no back matter. It's like if they wanted me to read it, they put pictures on it, and Mahmoud Assar would have drawn the fuck out of those panels, you know. But I read the trademark information at the end. You know, I wanted more. I wanted more.
I was like, I didn't know this was printed in Canada. Canada, who would have known? They have paper in Canada. Yeah. Wow, that's fair. Oz, what'd you think?
I'm kind of mad at Marvel because all they need to do is add the hyphen and they're done. That's how they've been using it in their books. They just hyphenate the Shumagorath, and you know they're fine.
Yeah,
they don't have to pay anything.
You know what it is? It's a Disney shit with occultism. That's what it is.
So you're saying like Disney doesn't want to use it, but they're using Conan as an excuse?
Yeah.
Man, sheesh, man. I tell you, okay. Yeah.
Well, and here's the people, whoever that article that Joe said is using Conan as an excuse because there's no verified sources or anything to that. It's just supposition by the Twitter verse, you know?
Well, the article, it has two things. It tells us who has the trademark for Shumagorath, which is the Conan people. And it tells us that the Shumagorath Lego set is not called Shumagorath.
Right.
Which, man, I tell you, I'm not a big Lego guy, but I might get the Shumagorath Lego set.
What I can say is the new name is not good.
Yeah. And that's how I know it's not like, because they would have thought of something better.
Well,
I'm surprised they didn't, because you can
change the
name to something that sounds like. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
What does a tentacled monster and Submariner name that?
Yeah.
What is that? Gorgoth?
No, Gargantos.
Yeah.
Gargantos.
He's basically an octopus.
Yeah. So that's probably look. You might not even get Shumagorath in the movie. You might get Gargantos, because that's another thing. Like Shumagorath is the one that lives beneath the sea and calls for you from the gates of Midian. You know what I mean? That's
because as I
Lovecraft shit.
As I read the article that you sent us, it's like a random ass Twitter dude that doesn't even have the check mark that they quote.
Oh, the dude isn't even anybody. He's just a dude that likes Legos and noticed that the name's different.
Yeah, that's it. Like people are assuming it's Shumagorath, but you don't know if that's who it's supposed to be.
It could be Gargantos. Which explains why he would look so small in the clip after No Way Home.
It's the new Mephisto.
Yeah.
It's Gargantos all along,
and the size fits. That's the size he was in the movie.
Yeah, look, turns out He-Man was supposed to have Mephisto, but they didn't have the rights to it, so they just changed his name to Fisto, and that's how they got away with it. I just quick quote that.
All this to say, Joe actually loved King Conan #1.
Let's
it was good. It was fun. It was good.
Dude, the fool messes around and
look, I'll take it. Leave it at that. Don't push more.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Don't push for more.
Okay, all right.
Like I was hoping this would be the one. This would be the one like Conan book that Joe would like because it's really it's a Marvel book. and they're creating their own stuff in their style with a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Call me when they make Conan Versal.
Yeah.
Oh, Conan Versal. That is,
I
you
think
see how
Robert
it
E.
doesn't even
Howard
sound
actually
right.
already did that.
But he didn't
And
call
then-
it Conan Versal.
No.
So well, there you go.
And then they cross
Yeah.
it over with the Sonya Versal, and then
And
all
the
these
sphere
Conans and
collided
Sonyas
into
are
the
just
Witcher.
like going at it.
By crime. Okay. Oz, what are you rating King Conan number 1?
4.5, easy.
Okay.
I would have gone 5,
Jay.
but I don't like the Shimagura thing, so I agree with you. You can have a point out for that.
Jay, what are you rating King Conan?
I'm gonna give it a 4. The setup is interesting. Like the fact that the seas are filled with maggots is like, I guess because of all the dead people. But maggots don't normally swim, so it's like when they were all up in his mouth, like it's
Yeah, I love
it's
that.
some creepy shit.
There's one panel where he's like, "Well, I'm hungry," and just grabs a handful and eats them.
Yeah.
They're full of protein.
Yeah, they're all protein. Like the ratio of protein for calorie is like amazing. Like that you can see how if Conan lived off of that, that's how he got that big. Yeah.
Moses Magnum, what would you rate King Conan number 1?
Easily 5 out of 5. I never thought I'd give a 5 out of 5 to a Marvel Conan book, a modern Marvel Conan book, but here we are, and it just keeps like getting better and better. I've gone back and I read more of the Jason Aaron stuff, and I think this is the last of it that he's working on, the King Conan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're doing more other stuff, but I think this is it, and that's why they're giving you something a little more original. But I mean, I like the one where he came into the Marvel universe. I haven't read Conan 2099, but I gotta check that out.
Oh,
That's
okay.
yeah. I mean, Marvel has an interesting way of doing it, and the Conan, the history between Conan and Marvel goes back to before I was born for sure, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I wanted to see if they reprint those old books. Yeah,
That would be
But-
interesting. I wonder if it's on Marvel Unlimited.
well, I backed the wrong horse.
Sorry.
No, I backed the wrong horse for our Christmas present this year.
Oh.
And I got us all the DC Infinite, and I should have gotten Marvel Unlimited, but we've always been Marvel heavy, so I figured DC would be good. And then talking to Lloyd, he has both, and he said the Marvel Unlimited app sucks. Like
I believe
it doesn't resume where you leave, like stuff that you put on your list. It doesn't work. So I'm kind of glad I didn't do that after all. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you just pick something out at random and read it, like it's fine. I don't care if the app doesn't, as long as it doesn't crash while I'm reading it, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But, we'll see.
I'm gonna give King Conan 4.5 out of 5 because it was pretty amazing book. I honestly I have to for me at least, I thought that the action sequence for the fight, I mean, it literally goes on for pages and pages and pages, but it's really interesting. Which is something that in my mind, it's like there's not a lot of artists that could pull off, I think, a fight with just 2 characters, like page after page, and each one seems like really well composed and artistically is great. I mean, I'm just for me, I was like, there were points where I was like, man, what's gonna happen next? And there was the dude does the magic, and then Conan tries to slice him and stuff, and then he takes him off the cliff, and then they go into the water, and he chops his hand off. Then the shark bites his hand, the hand that came off, but then the hand gets reanimated by magic, and I'm just like, dude, like this fool freaking has him gripped up with the hand that's not connected to him, and I'm just like, man, I'm like, this joint is pretty amazing right here. Like this is probably the most epic fight of 20. Well, I guess this would be 2022 now. Oh no, it came out last year. So like I like this might be one of the most epic fights of 2021 because I was like, I didn't read a lot of comics that had like that kind of composition that I was just like kind of blown away by. You know, so, some of them were really good, but you know, comic book fights, like
well, even like
I mean,
sword and
people
sorcery.
script, huh?
But even like sword and sorcery, like having a brawny dude fighting a mage and the designs for them, you know, just playing off each other too, because he's not like a fit dude. You know,
right. It's not like he's trying to overpower him physically.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome, man. I thought it was really good, and I was shocked by because not only is it a long fight scene, but then you know they do a good job with pacing and breaking up the action. With you know, like I mentioned before, how there's a certain point where you know the mage gets the upper hand, and Conan, his life flashes before his eyes, and so you have like some panels in there that are of some of Conan's like you know some of his moments in his life that he's like, oh, like that was awesome. You know, and so it breaks up the action a little bit, which I thought was really cool and interesting, but it doesn't take away, it doesn't take you out of the moment because you're basically like looking at Conan's life because you're like, well, he might die. And then he doesn't. Spoilers. Sorry.
Well, he's narrating it to you.
Spoilers. So yeah, but I just felt like I would be remiss if I didn't mention that because I know personally I was like really, really impressed by it, and you know, it's definitely like I think the book's worth checking out just to go see that paneling and that composition there. It's something that people could take notes on. So, you know what? Something else I wanted to mention that's not King Conan related, but it related to something that came up. Jay, you were talking about like how the book is like daring you not to read it because of all the exposition. Yeah,
well,
and it's funny.
Poorly the exposition is put together.
Oh, got you.
Like I don't know. There's something about that 1920s style of writing that just does not agree with me.
It's just interesting to hear you say it, just because I've been reading the Walking Dead Deluxe Edition. You know, I've been buying them since they came out, but I'm just getting around to like actually starting to read them again. And you know, it's The Walking Dead, but reprinted in color. But at the end, you have They have the cutting room floor, and it's literally Robert Kirkman showing you like a of the plot for each issue, and it's like basically like back matter that discusses how what he originally plotted out for the issue and how it's different from what actually ended up getting printed. And
that's cool.
Yeah, dude, it's super cool. It's almost worth buying the book by itself because it's literally like, you know, like it's Robert Kirkman like talking Walking Dead like as almost like as a retrospective. It's not almost, it is a retrospective because you know the book's over, right? And so he's talking about it issue by issue and what he was like, what he remembers about things at the time. And like, you know, it was really interesting him like in there he talks about how he wasn't sure if the book was going to make it past 6 issues. He was just like talking about how, you know, this is what I was doing and trying to make sure that I put into the book story wise, because it's like, as far as I know, this might be the only 6 issues I get to put out. And so how that informed his storytelling versus after he realized, okay, the book's going to stick around for a little bit, or we're going to at least be here for like 12 issues, you know? And so that's interesting. But one of the things what made me think about that was in one of those back matter joints, one of those cutting room floor, he talks about how Todd McFarlane's philosophy in regards to writing comics is he always wanted to make the first few pages uh like like exposition heavy because the readers were getting more uh or he thought readers would get more for their money if there's like a lot of text in the first few pages as opposed to like just pictures. And and he was talking about how, like, when I was writing, like, before, when he gave me that, before then, I like almost always start my books off with like big splash pages and big art pieces. And he was he said that to me, and so like Walking Dead was kind of like the first book where I decided, let me try like this style. And he's like, I guess the rest is history, you know what I'm saying? Where he's like, he did these scripts that had like a lot more like conversational kind of stuff, and it worked for him. But it's really interesting because it's like, it's, I mean, we think of Kirkman as who he is now, and the amount of success he's had in comics, but like he's very candid to like what his mindset was then versus now, and things that he did then that he would actually never do now, and like what he thought was a mistake, and what he's like, if I had thought about it, I would have done it differently. And it's literally going issue by issue. And so it's pretty interesting. So, I mean, obviously The Walking Dead is an amazing book in and of its own, like on its own right. But like reading the actual story is like a joy in and of itself, like especially going back, because it's been so long since I read it. It's almost like reading it new. But getting to that back matter portion of it is amazing stuff too. And they it's interesting because they do old letters, and so you have like letters from those issues, and sometimes they do new letters. Yeah, and new letters as well from people that might be reading it right now. Not they kind of switch back and forth depending. So it's like sometimes you have like the letter hacks from back when the books first came out, and sometimes you get brand new ones. And so that's interesting too.
It's funny you say that, like that McFarlane told them to do it that way, because now going back to jumping
Reading
into like Spawn's universe and all the new Spawn, like it just sucks you in too, where it's like you're hyped by the time you get to the end. It's like it's all the fun shit. Yeah.
Well, see, but I will say this. I personally like having like the break I took from Spawn. I'm finding it really hard to get into it again with those first pages. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, by the time you get past those and get to the end, it's usually great. But I like that. And it was so funny because I was, obviously we read the Spawn books before I had read what Kirkman was, his comments or his story about Todd McFarlane. And after I read that, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, because I know, like, I'm reading some of these new Spawn books and I'm like, has Spawn always been like this? And I'm like, I went back and I'm like, yeah, Spawn has been like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what,
like the whole thing with the news,
like writing with,
like, like on page, like 4, you're going to get the news cycle, and it's like, that's it's the formula at this point for Spawn, but it worked. You got to find the formula is always there. Like, people talk about the Beatles and how great they were, but there's a dude, Donovan, before them, and he kind of like, well, they followed the formula, but they just made it their own. And that's kind of what Kirkman did, is like he was given the formula, the key, he just made it with his voice, and he hid the formula in what he gave you. And that's kind of where these Spawn dudes, the people handling Spawn, are using the formula. They're not hiding it as well. But I mean, I'm a dude that loves the formula. Like, I know, I love it. Yeah,
it's wild too to think like Todd McFarlane was definitely ahead of his time in regards to those pundits back then, because it's like that was one I found really interesting in reading Spawn now. Like you said, you have like the page with the news people and their commentary, and it was interesting to see it now versus back then, because you can see how it's been informed by
but
like the stuff that has been happening more recently in regards to
He
news
stole that
pundits.
from Frank Miller.
Did he?
Yeah, because Frank Miller had that in The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, but that's different though, right? Then
It's a little
isn't it
different, but
like
again, you take the formula and
okay,
you
I'll give you
hide
that.
it, you know?
I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you. I guess you're right. Like,
Because
yeah,
it was like that. I mean, it was different because they were talking to the Joker, the reformed Joker, but that's an
yeah,
expositionary tool still. It's still just an
right.
expositionary tool, you know? And
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
so
Yeah,
you
that's
just hit it,
interesting.
you know, you took that and hit it. And look, now I want to man. This is why, man, don't watch this show. Go watch Cartoonist Kayfabe, man. That's a better show. Because they'll break that. I'm sure they probably broke that down too. Like they'll overlay these pages like that. And you never heard of that show, Larry? You like
I
Ed
don't.
Pitts,
I'm
right?
out.
The was it the Grand Design, X-Men Grand Design,
Oh yeah.
hip hop? Yeah, that's his. He has a show where he just breaks
Oh
down all
yeah.
these comics like that. I've never watched it.
Oh okay.
It's too long. They're like 3 hours long. Who wants to watch all that? But but but
I have
I
to go
watched
check that out.
the short shit they do, and they good shit.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. They're actually
We should
qualified
get.
to talk about comics.
I think that we're quite way.
The Special Olympics of comics.
There it is. What do you all want to talk about next? Robins or Batgirls? Let's talk about Batgirls.
Okay.
Y'all cool with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Jay. Why don't you break down Batgirls for us?
Okay. Hold on, my stupid computer.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
you
you're
gotta
trying
write
to put it
everything
up?
on paper.
Say again?
You gotta write everything on paper, man.
No, my bar was coming up. I was gonna splash screen.
Yay, splash screen.
So Batgirls #1 is the Oracle's lair has been hacked. They were framed for bombing. What's it like, a watchtower? Oh, my brain's broken right now. But
Okay.
yeah, they're framed for bombing it. So they're on the run from Seer. They're trying to lay low, reestablish Khan, and then go after Seer. And so this is issue 1 is them moving into a new place and trying to lay low while reestablishing their network. And of course, they're bad girls, so they can't stay low. Like, whenever they see crime, they have to fight it.
They're like each draws with his hand. Right. So I'm totally behind on all the Fierce State stuff. So I don't know who Seer is at all. Do you all know Seer? I saw the character in the book, but I don't know who that is.
She's new in Fierce State. She just hacked the Oracle network, took it over, and Oracle had to destroy it, like self-destruct everything, because you couldn't trust anything coming out of the network, because apparently this is a really good hacker. But it's not like we know the identity or the origins of the character. We just know of the character, and I'm guessing these books are going to explore more into who this character is.
Okay, and that is the character at the beginning of the book, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like I know, like I did notice that, like, okay, they tried to establish that she's like really bright right from the beginning, but in like a relatable kind of way. So I'm like, okay,
there she is.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't look like that in Fierce State, but that may have been a holographic projection.
Oh, okay. Like that's her mom's basement look.
Yeah. That's how she got to be a good hacker. By looking like that.
So what were your initial thoughts on this book? Like, what did you think of it initially, like upon reading?
I didn't like it.
Okay.
Too
What didn't you like about it?
too slice of lifey,
Mhm.
like Sex in the City ish, except instead of sex, I guess fighting in the city or crime
Fights in the
fighting.
city.
I don't know. It just didn't like. I couldn't get into it. It throws that wall of text at you, too. And when Conan does it, it moves the story forward. You feel like you're going somewhere, even though there's a lot of reading you got to get through.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it's just like, it's just like two teenage girls complaining about life.
Are they teenage though? I assume they were.
They're
older.
not. That's the thing.
Okay.
They're not.
Okay.
They're at least 20s. I don't know how old they're supposed to be now. They're not teenagers anymore. They've been through some stuff, but they're written like they're teenagers. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're supposed to be teenagers. I thought they were more grown up at this point.
No, they can't be teenagers. But I do feel where you're coming from, Oz. Like I know for me, like I didn't get it. I definitely got the slice of life kind of thing. I didn't get the Sex in the City vibe, but at the same time, I've never seen Sex in the City, so how would I know, right?
Me neither.
Actually,
I binge watched like 5 episodes last night.
Look, when you hear there's a TV show called Sex in the City starring 4 women, you're gonna catch an episode.
Hey, there's no judgment. I'm just saying I don't know.
Don't watch it in syndication on Channel 9. You're not gonna watch it.
But what I did feel was like it gave me like this book gave me a very sitcom-y kind of vibe, and I was not a fan of that at all. Like it every like I almost could hear like the laugh track, and I'm just like, oh, but it's not good though. It's like, the laugh track when it's like nothing funny happened and you're like, ugh.
The recorded one.
Yeah.
I do have a question since Oz didn't like that aspect of it. And Jay, I assume you love that aspect of it. Larry, you didn't like it, and I mean, I'm not gonna say I loved it or hate it yet, but I do have a question, and just a quick round robin. I watched it. I mean, I read this after Robins #1. Larry, did you do that too?
I did.
Okay. Joe, did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. And Oz, did you do that?
Yeah, for a specific reason.
Okay. And I think that for me, that had something to do with how I felt about this book. But Larry, go ahead, continue with your review of this book.
No, I mean that's a fair point. Like I could totally see how that could make a difference. But
I don't think not a big difference, but
yeah, no, not a big difference. No,
yeah,
not a big difference. But yeah. Yeah. So Jay, what did you think of Batgirls?
I liked it. Like, I thought it was interesting. Like, I'm sure the graffiti is going to come up. I want to know what's going on with the workers. I guess I've been prepared for this book. It was announced ages ago, and they talked about the age appropriateness of it. And so I was ready for that.
But I mean, do you feel like, and this is the thing for me too, where, by no means am I a huge fan of these particular characters. Like I can't, I don't want to try to say or purport I'm the person that's like or have a speak with authority on what these characters should act like. But I've read a lot of Batman comics with some of these characters in it, and I feel like nobody in this book acts like how they're supposed to act, except maybe spoiler a little bit. Like she's the closest, but everybody acts weird. Am I wrong in that?
Spoiler is skewing a little young, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is the most carefree
Yeah.
of the Batgirls, but she does seem to be skewing a little young. Orphan, I didn't see an issue with her. Yeah, I didn't see an issue with her.
She's gone through a lot of development. Even talking back, you go back to what's the one, the No Man's Land, when she came out first,
Mm-hmm.
and then through
Yeah.
that, like she's gone through a lot to even like just having her say sentences to convey what she wants, but in like pretty much a grunt. I think I'm okay with, and again, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like you said, Larry, I'm not like a fan, but I followed
Mhm.
her enough in reading Batman
Yeah.
books, specifically pre-52 books, and I'm not
Mhm.
new 52, but pre-52. Um,
Mhm.
and then to kind of see why this would be where she would be at to a certain degree, but
I
it's
guess
just not it's not, it could have been done better, but
yeah.
that's
And
I
as
give her a
I
far
little
feel
bit of
like
leniency.
and as far as Babs,
yeah.
she always switch. Like writers are always switching her a little bit. So
Yeah, that's true.
like, yeah, she is written inconsistently. Like no one ever goes like too far, but sometimes she'll be a little more carefree. Sometimes she'll be like super serious. This is
Yeah.
kind of like a mix between the two. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so she's not so far out of character that it's like that it feels wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
again, like if you've only read certain arcs or if you've only read her written by certain people, like I
Mm-hmm.
can see you thinking that she's off.
Yeah. And I guess for me, I'm just like it. I understand that it's been a time since the last time I was reading her regularly, because I feel like the point I was reading her regularly was detective, um, and that's like like Detective Comics with like when you had like Batwoman kind of uh having the Bat family as like its own little self-contained kind of team, and she was a part of that, and I feel like she was using sentences then, but definitely not in the same way she's doing it in this book. And it just it feels like a different character to me.
Oh,
uh,
Orphan?
yeah.
No, she talks. Like you look at her back in the day, even like uh in Robin when she used to show up, like she was speaking in
Mhm.
full sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, I'm not saying she doesn't talk. I'm just saying like the way she's talking in this, it feels different to me, but it might just be what she's saying.
Well, she's also not, that's it. Again, when you think of it from a sitcom thing, like
Yeah.
just getting to the point because she doesn't like the situation she's in,
Hmm. Yeah.
hence the comedy, So, and that's
The
Becky.
comedy.
Well, that's what's her name? Mr.
Clooney?
Becky Cloonan's attempt uh at sitcom humor. What,
Oh,
the co-writer. I don't know his
I don't
name.
remember who the co-writer is. I don't remember.
It's
Um,
Cloonan and fuck. I don't even have that shit on me either. I left
Give me a
everything.
sec.
I was
yeah,
finishing The
Joe will come up
Witcher
with.
up until like 10 minutes before the show,
uh,
and I still didn't get to
Oz.
finish it because my camera was all wonky, so I was setting that up.
Um,
So I didn't even get to
Oz.
enjoy the final episode.
Oh, I'm sorry, friend. Oz, why did they move in together?
Oh, well, the clock tower that we discussed got blown up was Barbara's clock tower.
Okay, but
which is
were
where
they living
which
there?
was their base.
Huh?
It was like their home base. I think I think Spoiler and Cassandra might have been living there. I don't remember. I know Barbara definitely uses it. She practically lives there too. She's inconsistent too. In Batgirl, she had an apartment, but then sometimes her apartment is at the clock tower. So it depends on who writes it. I do know that it did get blown up, and that's why they need a new base of operations, and they're moving in together, I guess. Sounds right. Makes sense. Let's go with that.
That's fair. How did you all feel about the art? Moses, what'd you think of the art in this book?
And it's Michael Conrad.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's too slow or too small for you to see, but he was the other writer. He worked on Doom Patrol.
He worked on everything she worked on.
Bizarre Adventures.
Yeah, that's nepotism at its finest. At this point, the more I read their co-written books together, I'm like, dude, I said that last time. I forgot what book we reviewed, that he might be dead weight, man. I don't know if I think he's writing most of these books. And I don't know, man. I've read stuff that she wrote by herself and had somebody else draw. I prefer the stuff that she writes and draws herself. That's the shit I like. Look, I got 2 tattoos that she drew. I'm a fan. And once I know the whole story. There's a whole webcomic of their romance. I know it all. They went to high school together. He went off to become a barber. She went off to date the dude from Cut Thunder Keef. She always had a crush on him. They were friends for a long time, and then now he's like, okay, I want to write comics. I'll date you. Yeah, and that's how it looks like. She stopped. Look, again, he's holding her back. That's all I'm gonna say. She used to post a lot more artwork, on the socials, and now it's not as much. And she used to do these things on October where she would draw one thing every day, and then sell you the book of it, and it was all done in ink, and it was either a tarot set or something, and I'd buy those every year because it's fucking good art for $10, right? And then it would come printed and bound and everything, and ever since this dude, it's I don't know, man.
I'm hearing is we gotta break them up. So
I'm not saying that. Look, love is beautiful. If she's in love and she's happy with that, then making subpar comics. I mean, Becky Cloonan, you want to Eisner on your own with a proper collaborator, not a hanger-on. Dang!
Wow, it's a hanger-on.
Yeah, it's just 6 months after they're dating, after she's been in love with him her whole life. I don't know the story. I don't know the full story of what happened or didn't happen, why it took so long to get them together for 15 years or whatever. But all of a sudden, 6 months after they're together, he's writing comics. It's I don't like that. If I'm watching a romantic comedy and that's the case, I don't like this guy. He'd be played by Timothy Oliphant in the biopic. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. So the art.
Sorry, I didn't judge the art properly. Yeah. I like the art. I prefer her drawing it. It's good if she's this purpose. It makes the graffiti. Unfortunately, it makes the graffiti stuff get muddy because the style itself is graffiti style in a sense. And
Right.
comic art
Right.
in itself is pop art, but when your
Mhm.
main story point has to do with a little hidden graffiti thing that's gonna come
Yeah.
forward, you gotta tone that shit back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
everybody read Vertigo. Everybody knows that shit. Like Vertigo did that shit. Like they would tone down the art. They would get super crude to show you something super like hyper detailed.
Right. Right.
Um,
For the contrast.
yeah.
Hmm. What about you, Oz? What'd you think of the art?
I agree. It's too poppy. It works for the book, except when it doesn't, like you guys said.
Hmm.
When Mo asked if which book I read first, I said I read the Robins first for a reason. I've been seeing pages for this book at the back of my comics for a while now, and I have not been looking forward to it.
To Batgirls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of
well,
knew I knew what I was gonna get with this book, and then you guys said that's what we were doing, and I was like, oh god, now I have to read it.
Well, I honestly like the solicits for it, and I actually had high hopes for it. I really thought it was going to be.
You also had
Like,
high hopes for Omicron.
Wait, what? What does that mean?
You always use it's the worst shit ever. You're like, I'm optimistic about it.
No, I mean, it's like I feel like I didn't know what the premise of the book was going to be because I hadn't kept up with the characters, and I didn't look at any solicits. I was just looking at like the creative teams, and I'm just like, oh, the creative team, and so I'm just like, okay, well, and then I saw, I think the cover has, Orphan and Spoiler on the cover, and I'm like, oh, this might be cool. But yeah, I can tell you, like, personally, I'm just not feeling it. Like, there's just all these like little different things. Like, I mean, there were some points of it that I kind of liked. Like, there was a like, but that's like the things I liked about it are so tiny that it's just like that's how like the book itself wasn't good because it's like from one of the things for me where I was like, oh, that was cool was they had like the point where Orphan was saying like, oh, I thought of you in my head, and she was saying, keep a low profile, and they do like the little echo effect in the word bubbles, like keep a low profile, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But that was like, I thought it was cool just because I was like, oh, I can like the way, like, I mean, I guess that's a lettering thing, right? Because it's like
Well,
the
but
way
a
that they did the
paneling
word
thing
bubbles.
too, right? Because like they drew her and they redrew her or cut and paste. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the way they set up that panel, it's like
Yeah,
the picture kind of echoed itself too. And I thought that was
that's
interesting.
true. Yeah, it's like the way, like, because they almost did like a fading out. They almost ghosted the
Yeah.
image, and then with the word bubble, they actually did like do like a little kind of ripply kind of bubble thing that made it so that it's like, okay, it's we know, like, I read it and it wasn't like I was like, oh, are they doing the echo thing? It's I heard it in my head as I read it, and I'm like, oh wow, like that's like really cool because I was like, it felt very intuitive. And it's like I feel like I've had other things try to do that before, and I had to like kind of think about it a little bit.
It's cool until you realize you get to the point where you realize that was a setup for a joke that just doesn't hit.
Yeah, right, and that's the thing. Like that's what it boils down to. It's like it was one of the few things I think that actually worked in the book for me, and so that's why I was like, oh, imagine that. Like there it is. Like here's something that I can be positive about. But everything else, like another thing was like there was another point where they did. There you go. Thank you, Jay. There was another point where they did. They talk about the TV, and like literally, I think Spoiler asked, "Hey, is that like square thing over there a TV?" Like, because she's, I guess, acting like she's never seen like a like a tube television, and there's a point, like a panel of her turning on the television, and the sound effect. I was like, oh, that's a great sound effect. Like that's exactly what that sounds like when one of those old TVs like changes channels. Like it was like And it made me wonder. I'm like, if you're like a kid that actually hasn't ever seen one of those TVs, like when I read that, I could hear that sound in my head. And I was like, man, they've never heard that sound. I don't even know if they're gonna be like, why is it making that noise? like there could totally be like a 20-year-old reading this comic and just be like, why is it that, see that thing right there? What is that? Could that it's like, but I can hear that, like what that noise actually sounds like in my head because I've experienced it. And I'm like, I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, why is that noise there?
My favorite part is when Stephanie asks for nudes.
She asked for nudes?
Yeah, but it's cup of nudes.
Oh, gotcha.
It's literally on your screen.
I like, you're right. It is right there. I was like, nudes? I was like, what? Yeah. But anyway. Okay.
This book itself, like,
yeah.
I gave my weird review about it, but as a whole, it just doesn't do nothing really happens. Like, yeah, I get they're in this weird transitional stage. Look, that transitional stage, this is where I wouldn't mind a little a 1 day time jump. I don't need to see them unpacking. I don't need to see them,
or show me the fight with the thugs.
Well, the thing is, they showed it to you the start in a flashback to 2 seconds ago, and then they didn't show you the fight. And I guess through exposition they explained to you how it went down. That's fine. Again, that works for TV, which is the feel that this has, and it's fine. But in TV, shit has to happen.
Yeah.
To go through to watch episode 2.
Yeah.
It's especially when it comes to sitcoms. The sitcoms is constantly setups and punchline, and then the whole show is a setup to a final punchline, and then you want to watch the second episode. Yeah. And this pacing for this book, if that's what they were trying to do, the pacing for it wasn't set up. And when you think of like a 22-page book, 24-page book, it's primed for that type of format. Yeah, I've read a Three Stooges comic book where you think, oh, Three Stooges comic book, how's that gonna work? And it works perfectly fine because it's a 22 minute short with 3 sketches. And that's what the book does. It's a 24-page book with 3 different weird Three Stooges stories.
Can I ask another question? Like, and Oz, I think you hit the nail on the head, where you're like, they set up all these things and it just don't pay off. Like, Jay, you showed the picture earlier, the scooters, and it's just like, okay, we don't know, just no to the scooters, and I know it's supposed to be a silly thing, but it just feel like it's like, oh wow, look at this, or it doesn't make me laugh. But then they find a car. Or they, take the car and they're talking about names for the car. What the Bondo thing? Like, is that?
Oh,
you know what that is?
Bondo is what you use to fix dents that you can't.
Yeah, it's like kind of like how you patch holes with plaster for your drywall. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that for a car. You can just it's like putty that you can sand down once it's dry.
Yeah, it's plaster for your car. You put it on and then you sand it to shape it to whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
you can actually create.
You all know, like I'm not a handy guy, so I don't know anything about that. So, but why would you call a car that?
That's why your dad would have left you a Krypton.
Because half that car was probably just Bondo that was painted over.
Yeah, they do that when you buy a car that falls apart after you buy it. Like they just make it look good, and then when you like smash it, everything just chips off.
Oh, jeez.
Like that skull in the front was probably just like sculpted through Bondo.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I was just sitting here reading that and I was like, I don't like, they get so excited about Bondo and I'm just like, I don't know.
It was supposed to be a joke because they're like start off with B names that make no sense. Like, why would you call it Bilbo or Boba? Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Book. Yeah. Like, listen, all of it. I'm just like,
They shouldn't even be
Like,
driving that car that they stole that is probably registered to somebody and can be tracked.
Yeah, they didn't send off the
I
engine block.
I don't know, man. I was just like, yeah. Like the messed up part was, sometimes I read books like this, and I'm just like, oh, maybe it's just me. And this is like 100%. I was like, oh, it's definitely not me. This just not. It's not
I
hitting.
knew it wasn't you.
I assume
No,
it's you too.
So anyway, okay, we should rate this book.
Oh my god! I just
Jay.
realized it actually says sad trombone when they show the screen.
Yeah, yeah,
That was the best
yeah.
part of that.
No,
I wish Becky
it's
Cloonan
not.
had drawn this book.
Yeah,
Which is funny because if you read her webcomics on Tumblr, like she'll do shit like that, like the way she letters her own stuff with the sad trombone. It's almost like halfway between an American comic and a manga, where you know how manga, like they say sigh when they sigh, you know? It's like that, and this is what this is kind of going for with her sensibilities, but Michael Conrad just ruined it.
I'm gonna agree with you. It's definitely
He's
his
the reason
fault.
it says Bondo.
The exact listen. I'm gonna have to talk to her and tell her to break up with him.
No. Look, love is good. It's just comics don't have to be good.
She can fall in love with a dude that knows how to make comics better.
I think when writing this, somebody was talking about Bondo, and he's like, "Oh, that's a funny word, Bondo, Bondo." Hey Becky, I got an idea. And now
the pillow talk. I was thinking of calling the car Bondo. Why Bondo? Like that doesn't make any sense. It has nothing to do with bats or anything. Well, no, but when you fix the car and you do this and that, okay, somebody will get it.
So, Jay, what are you rating Batgirls #1?
I'm giving it a 4. All right, I liked it. I like the art. Or like the I like the setup. I like what's happening. I like seeing these characters together. Like it might be just a me thing, but Stephanie, Orphan, and Babs together, it's something I want to read and keep reading.
That's fair. Oz, what would you rate Batgirls #1?
2. Art wise, it's fine. I was gonna call it rushed looking, but I can see where you're coming from with the graffiti style, which, like you said, also affects a plot point in the book, like ruins it. So yeah, it's fine to look at. Check it out. Jay says, well, it's these 3 characters in the book together. I would argue that it's 1.5 of those characters in the book together, and I don't know who the hell the other characters are. They don't act like the characters that I know and love. So yeah, 2. It's off my pull list.
Okay. Moses Magnum, what would you rate Batgirls?
If they would have started with just the fight with those robot dudes at the end, and then flash back to this stuff, this book would have been a 4. I like the art, even though it does drown out the whole subplot with the graffiti. But I did like the art, even like the scene with the scooters. Like that scene was like that texture on the alley with the scooters and the shading. It is on point. This is good work. The story flow. It doesn't add anything to the plot, so it's just there for no reason, just to look pretty, But if it's a flashback on everything, and then had they gone the Conan route, I mean, look, we're about to talk about Robins #1. Robins #1 literally just started with a big fight, and then said why we're all together, and it was all talking, and was brilliant. 5 out of 5. You know, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, so it's a 2 from me as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also gonna give Batgirls #1 a 2 because, yeah, I don't know, man. It's trying to do something and it just fails at it on just about every level. To me, it's not like it's like I guess you got to give it credit because I see what it was trying to do. I just don't think it did it well. So, yeah, 2. All right, let's talk about Robins #1. Oz, why don't you tell us about Robins #1, man?
Robins #1 is supposed to be a book where the Robins get together to have some conversation for some reason that makes absolutely no sense about why they became Robin. I don't know what the hell they're trying to hash out in this, and fortunately, that gets interrupted by something cool.
You said unfortunately or fortunately?
No, fortunately, because
okay.
Like I'm sitting there reading that part. I'm like, why? What the hell are you guys like? What is the end goal of this conversation? What are you guys trying to hash out? As Damien already had this discussion with all you people. I don't. Yeah, that's it. It's a short story, 1 of 6. Apparently, the winner of the DC Round Robin Award. I have no idea what the hell that is. I think they just put on the cover. The cover is Robins, and they thought, oh, it's a Round Robin winner.
I wonder if it's a contest to tell Robin stories. Maybe. I don't know.
I
don't know.
At this,
I don't know, man. Right.
I don't know why you guys made me read this piece of crap. This is
you love Robins.
I do. Now tell me a story about Robins.
Yeah,
not whatever the hell this was.
So it does, like, Mo had mentioned that it does begin with, well, I guess technically it begins with a scene of a baby bird falling out of a nest, which I don't know why that happened, but
because it's a Robin. And the villain claims to be a Robin that was rejected. So I don't know. It looked like a Jokerized Carrie Kelly to me. I have no. And this is one of the things that pisses me off when they try to create a new character, but they have to relate it to existing characters. So unless it's like her, like it's a delusion, she thinks she was a Robin, or it's she's like a dark universe Robin because she does look Jokerized. Then maybe, but still, I hate it when they do that. And it's a cool. The character herself, in just a little we see of her, seems interesting, and I hope that they can write her good enough to overcome that crutch that they've already given her, that she was apparently the first Robin.
So
to Grayson's face.
Real quick, the Round Robin was DC put out a bunch of story ideas, and fans were allowed to vote on which one would become a 6-issue miniseries. The final 4, which happened in April, was between Green Lantern's Underworld on Fire by Sina Grace and V. Kim Marion, Robins with Tim Seeley and Baltimore Rivas, Blue Beetle Graduation Day by Josh Trujillo and Adrian Gutierrez, and Suicide Squad 7 by Rex Ogle and Diogenes Neves.
Yeah, those three books sound way more interesting.
Well, you should have voted.
Honestly, if I knew about it, I would have voted for this book anyway because I would have just seen, oh, it's got Nightwing and Red Hood and Damian. Like,
Right.
And spoiler.
I can only. She's not on the cover. Oh, she is. I see. Okay. Yeah, she's little tiny spoiler in the corner. Yeah, look,
Minimal spoilers ahead.
I can only come so many times.
Can I ask a quick? Like, I don't remember. Was Spoiler actually a Batgirl? Was she Batgirl?
Well, she was a Robin and Batgirl.
No,
Yeah,
I know she was. I knew she was Robin. I don't remember if she was Batgirl.
You didn't know she was Batgirl? That's when the whole purple outfit came out. She was a Robin for a while. She was a Batgirl for a while. She was a Batgirl longer than she was a Robin.
But you're not counting like the War Game stuff, right? Like that doesn't count anymore.
War Games, she was still Robin.
Right, but that's why she was so close because she died.
Yeah, but when she comes back, she's Batgirl.
But when did she come back? Like years later, right?
No, it wasn't that. She wasn't dead for that long. She was not dead for that long.
So what? In fact, she was Batgirl when Barbara was Oracle.
Yeah. In fact, her spoiler outfit is her old Batgirl outfit with just a COVID mask and a hood.
Okay.
But yeah, it's that purple down the sides with the purple bat signal.
I'm sure if I saw it, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." But
yeah, I don't like how they stop. Like, well, War Games doesn't count in this story because it's oh, you were suspended, that's why, and then you were for this many weeks. It's like, no, it was this many because you were suspended for this many. But it's like she was that many because she died. Yeah.
She was fired before she died. War Game happened after she was fired.
But it wasn't after the suspension either. Like she was just fired.
Oh, it was. She was suspended during her tenure.
But she still kept the costume and then died being an illegitimate Robin.
Damn it.
I can't, you know what? I can't say that I really remember that Batgirl.
You choose not to.
Yeah, which is okay. I mean, look, that's not really doing a lot for me. Okay.
Because you were mad that she was there as Batgirl when it happened.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, makes sense. I'm just like, what's she doing? Why is she Batgirl? So she gets to be in Robins and in Batgirls.
I think she was Batgirl before Cassandra Cain. I think Cassandra took it next, right?
Yeah. No, it's definitely before Cassandra Cain.
Wait, Batgirl before Cassandra Cain?
Before Orphan.
No, she was after.
Yeah, because Cassandra Cain was Batgirl during No Man's Land. Stephanie Brown was just a twinkle in her daddy's eye during No Man's Land.
Really?
She was like 8 years old during No Man's Land.
But they were right next to each other. Like one succeeded the other.
Nah, man. I think there's more time in it. There's more time in between. I'm telling you, like her resurrection from when she died has got to be a 5-year thing. Like I feel like she was resurrected after like 52 or some shit, you know?
Okay.
And I think there was I mean, not of any note, but a Black Lantern Stephanie Brown, like just a little Easter egg in the back. Yeah.
So Mo,
but I'm not a DC dude, so I can't like say for certain. But I just feel. Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like the only reason she's in this Robin's book was so that people don't think that the villain was Stephanie.
Oh, really?
I mean, look, not a lot of people remember that Stephanie was a Robin because it was that short.
I remember.
Yeah, I said not that many people. Yeah. You are
not that many people in the DC universe remember she was a Robin.
So, Mo, what did you think of this book of Robins?
I enjoyed it a lot. and it just right off the bat, there's this weird fight with these ideology-driven terrorist types, and the design's cool. I can't like hoods with anarchy signs, like yeah, it works. The red color, the motivations, they give you enough in dialogue of these people to see their motivations and see that they're not really all that organized. And then you just have a succession of how each Robin would handle this particular situation. Dun, 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 and then it all comes back down to the Batman training.
Mhm.
Perfect setup. This could have been an Ash Can. This could have been a free comic book day. Perfectly well crafted story about how Robins interact with each other, deal with a similar situation, and there's no denial that they were all trained by Batman.
I wouldn't say perfectly crafted because it whatever it does good, it then ruins by trying to be funny. Like that, the way you describe that opening,
Yeah.
I totally agree. And then the password scene happens, and that's dumb.
But again, it's
That was
like
dumb. There's better ways to do that.
look, there might or might not be, but the thing is, they use a Batman like institution, a Batman ideology, which is
Mhm.
like it's from straight out of Detective Comics 27. The driving force of why Batman wears fucking cape and cowl is what gets them where they need to be. Like that for story purposes, that's fucking perfect.
Could have been done better.
It could have been done better if you're making cinema or you're trying to do something, but you're making fucking comic books. It works. It's the thing is the whole thing is a MacGuffin to just get you to want to see them talk to each other at breakfast. And that's the thing. The Batgirls did the same thing. They're trying to get you to see them eat nudes. And the whole time you're dreading, like you're working hard to keep reading. And here it's like, okay, this is where we're at now. I want to see this. I saw their interaction there with the mask. I want to see their interaction without in this new. I guess this is part of the fear state shit too. I want to see them here. They give you a little bit of the villain enough peppered throughout, and then they bookend it. They give you at the beginning. They give you at the end. They give you that action scene, comedy action scene, which really like when you have that many different type of Robins with different types of personalities. And I'm not a Robin dude by any means, but if you put them in a movie together, one of them or two of them are going to be the funny ones. You know that. And if you do that, you do the kitchen scene, and then you show the villain fully, boom, perfect number one book.
See that they get back to the apartment bugs me again. The air conditioning thing, that was dumb. No even mention of Bitewing, like just completely forgotten.
Who's Bitewing?
That's Grayson's new dog. Got 3 legs.
Again, he's probably off there somewhere. They haven't even dealt with him. Like if that was it, or if the dog was in it, it wouldn't make it a better book. If the air conditioning was fixed, it wouldn't make it a better book.
Grayson's a billionaire. Dude has air conditioning.
Again, he has it or he doesn't change the story at all.
I think it does.
It changes.
The man bun on Grayson changes the story in my eyes.
The man bun was so terrible, and that's actually
if you have long hair and it's hot, your air conditioning is on.
But it doesn't feel like what he would do.
You never had long hair.
I've had long hair. It's not what I would do.
That's not true.
But you put in a ponytail.
It's not a man bun. If you would have done a ponytail,
if your hair is short on the side and you have long hair, it turns into a man bun whether you want it or not.
If he had a ponytail and it looked exactly the same, I would say, well, at least it's a ponytail. I would have overlooked.
You'd be mad at that.
It's a straight up man bun.
You'd be mad about it because of the air conditioning. Like you're actually going out of your way to find things you don't like about this book, and none of those are story affecting.
Well, the story affecting part is the villain. Like the whole motivations of the villain. I hate that. I hate when you do that. I just hope that villain is delusional and completely wrong and turns out just a crazy person.
I will have to say that I agree with Oz in the sense that, or at least I agree with the sentiment he has in regards to the reveal of the villain at the end. Because there was a part of me that was like, but there's another part of me that's more like, where it's just like, it just feels like, it's like, it's a little too tropish, I guess.
Like,
And
if
it's like,
she's the
it could
first
turn out
Robin,
cool.
she like theoretically should be at least as old as Grayson, right? But she
I
looks
think,
like a kid.
yeah, but she's a woman, so that happens sometimes.
It could be like
So
syndrome.
I will say also too, like just from like I was feeling like the art in this book is not bad. However, I much more enjoyed watching what he did. Oh, well, actually, I'm not even sure if it's a he or she, but what they did um, in when everybody was in costume, like in the fight scene, and then when we get to the kitchen table and all the Robins are around the table talking. I don't know. It's like everybody just looks weird to me. Like the only I feel like the only one that looked like kind of what they're supposed to look like was maybe Damien, but maybe Tim, but I don't know. Everybody was looking a little off for some reason.
That's part of the problem with this with the Batgirls too, where it's like that's Stephanie Brown. It's like, okay, I knew it was her. From one to the other, you can't tell it's the same person,
Hmm.
And I don't
Yeah.
know. And part of these problems could be editorial problems. I mean, you're doing some of these things, and you gotta have some sort of synergy or through line, in these
Yeah.
comics, and that's part of it. I mean, like the age of the villain or the tropiness of the villain, like. I mean, it's DC, man. We've read a lot of labor DC
Hmm.
books. DC is actually like a little bit underrated right now. They've been putting out good shit that nobody's really talking about. Yeah,
I would agree with that. They are putting out good stuff that's flying under the radar for sure. I don't know that if this book, I don't know if I would put this book in that category, but there's some moments of it I did like. Like honestly, I did. I do feel like the characterization in this book as well is a little off, except for Damien. Like Damien, I liked, and I felt like Damien was or at least maybe I should say that version of Damien is a version of Damien that I personally enjoy reading. I know he doesn't always act like that, but in this book, like just the way that he basically was like, "Listen, I was born to be Robin, literally," and like puts everybody like
well, he's
just
like he's born
know
to be
that
Batman, but Robin is a stepping stone.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
Right. Like, right. He's like, I see Robin as this, and that's what it's
yeah.
for. And I was born to do that until I become Batman. And it's like, yeah, that's kind
And
of
he
cool.
belittles all the other ones as he's saying that.
Hmm. So that was a part of the book that I really did enjoy. The other thing that I found strange though was, well, I guess I shouldn't say strange. What I will say is I was a little taken aback when I realized that they were like, oh, this is like um this has to do with like the first villains that all of us ever fought. And I'm just like, are there like DC fans or Robin fans out there that know like the first villain that Robin fought, like each Robin fought? Like this, did anybody know that before this book? Because I was just like, because they're saying these names, and I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. And they were like, oh man, that's such and such, and he was this. And I'm looking at these like they're showing me pictures and give me the names of the characters and the names of like their real names and their villain names. I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. Like, did any of you recognize any of these people? Like any of the
I did.
names or anything? You didn't? Okay.
I'm not a Robin.
I don't
I was wondering why Dowsum was on the screen.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was an interesting direction, or at least the way that they kind of like put it out there as if like, oh, this is going to be like I mean, I guess I'm not trying to say that they were making it like a reveal, because they obviously, I think they put they put effort into trying to make sure people understood who it is they were looking at and why it was, what the connection was. So I think they understood that the audience wouldn't be like making that connection on its own. But at the same time, it's kind of like what are we even like? It doesn't feel weighty, and I guess that's the thing. Like I felt like they're trying to make it seem like it was going to be like a little bit of a weight to that story, and it's just like, why do I even care who the first person that Robin got to beat up was? Like I'm like, what happened to all these villains? Like, were they for like if as far as I'm concerned, it's like they could all be made up, you know? Like I don't know if that's like that. If you actually go back to the comic, is that the first villain that any of these guys actually fought? I don't know. Maybe not. I'll take your word for it, I guess, right?
So what I can say doesn't actually pertain to this issue.
Okay.
But when they do describe the scenario, like I don't remember the guy, but I definitely remember the scenario of Tim losing his mom and his dad getting paralyzed. Like that was a thing that happened. So I might not remember the guy, but I do remember that was one of the first things that happened when he became Robin.
Okay. So the scenario sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay. We just don't know if like that guy was the actual guy that was there for it.
I'm sure it was, but I don't remember him.
Yeah.
Like I don't see them using the same scenario but putting a different guy in it. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Right. It makes about as much sense as putting the actual guy in it. It's like, remember this random dude? I'm like, nah.
I will say,
no.
I actually do like what they're doing, like bringing these like villains here, and you know, when you keep going and you like analyze, like in the next issue, they actually analyze the situation, and they basically go through like Batman's files, and you see like his notes of the incidents that happen.
Okay.
And yeah, it's interesting to me, like to just see these Robins in this perspective. But then I like that again about the story time where, you know, they're each talking about like how they became Robin or the situation surrounding it. Just the examination of Robin, I think, is interesting.
I agree with you. I think the examination of Robin and what it means to them from the different perspectives is an interesting thing. I just, it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily feel like it was done effectively. Like it's almost like they needed help from like Bendis to have that conversation. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like that would have been
only doing 22 pages, Larry.
Deconstruct the entire kitchen table.
Like it would have been the whole kitchen table, no fight at the beginning.
So we got to start wrapping up, but just a quick question. Looking at this Robin, this one that's causing all this, is anybody getting like any Magpie vibes?
I don't know what Magpie means.
No.
Okay.
It's
just me.
What character's Magpie? What character's
Magpie?
She's a thief. She's basically got some head trauma, like split personality. She steals shiny things.
Yeah.
She also has light hair.
Light hair?
Yeah, she does.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, look, based on what Jay's saying, like, it very well could be her. No, absolutely. Yeah, that look, Jay cracked the case. It's her. And she's mentally unstable, and she thinks she's a Robin, but she's not.
Well, I'm thinking like her daughter.
Why would her daughter think she's a Robin?
Look, it could be just a random ass orb fin that Batman decided not to take in, and feels slighted. Like that's what I've been assuming the whole time. That's why I'm like, I roll with it. Like, okay, she was found in a position like everybody else, but he didn't take her, and he only takes dudes for the most part,
But she looks like the Witcher after he takes a potion.
So does this other one, just with black hair. She even has the mascara running. Like,
yeah,
she looks like the Witcher if he sang in My Chemical Romance. Is what she looks like.
I think this is a Jokerized Robin.
Oh,
I mean, Carrie Kelly. If it's not Stephanie, it's Carrie Kelly.
Yeah,
from a different universe.
The metal, or like one of those the Batman who laughs Robins.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the vibe I kind of got from it too, but with a redesign a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it could be that. Honestly, for me, it'd be interesting if it was like a kid that thought like, okay, this shit happened, and I'm gonna be a Robin, and then feels so rejected, and then sees all these other Robins flourish for a few years. Yeah.
Like just snap. That's
even like what she said. This is for the boys that didn't let us into the club.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
yeah.
That's what I went with.
Well, let's do some ratings. Jay, what would you rate Robin's number 1?
I would give it a 3.
Okay. Cool.
I like it.
Okay.
It gets better though. Like I would give issue 2 like a 4.
Wait, issue 2 is on already?
Yeah, I think they're at 3.
Oh, nobody told me that.
Nobody told me that either.
Oh, well, they're at 3.
Wait,
thank you for not telling me that.
So, do they tell you more about the villain?
In 2, no.
Then I'm out.
Mostly it's the files. Batman's thoughts on the different Robins.
Okay, well then I'm gonna give it a 2.5 because I didn't like it. The only reason I want to read it is just to find out about this villain, see how they try to crowbar her into either the existing mythos or maybe like Mo said, she's just somebody that was rejected and is sore about it. I'm gonna skip issue 2 because I already know the history of all these Robins. So
not the new history.
But I know all about the nude history.
You know the history, but you don't know their perspective on the history. That's what
I think I do. I think because
I think I do. I was like, I think like a Robin. All over.
Red Hood and the Outlaws was Red Hood. Like all he did was talk about his time as a Robin.
Gotcha.
And actually, issue 3 comes out next week.
But isn't this Red Hood like didn't they retcon that Red Hood and the Outlaws out already?
It depends on which Red Hood and the Outlaws. Because I say Red Hood and the Outlaws, but then they did. I think it was just called the Outlaws.
Yeah,
the new one. So
that's the thing.
Yeah,
no,
I read that one too.
But
that's where he gets the swords and magic
powers. It's all different universe though. Isn't it? This is all after Doomsday Clock or some shit.
Who knows?
I think. So Oz, what would you
honestly, I don't know if Wally West is alive or dead because he was both in Heroes in Crisis. Like how Ted Kord and Blue Beetle have a team up book now. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
2.5. I just want to find out about this villain and be done with it.
I'd give it a 3.5, 4. Closer to 3.5, maybe 3.75. The art is the only part. It was good in parts and not good in others.
Mm-hmm.
But the book itself, I mean, this sucked me in. I never gave a fuck about Robin's books, So the fact that they got me one reading with all of them, and I'm willing to read a second one, that's an achievement.
There you go. I would give it a 3. It's not bad. There's definitely some enjoyable parts, and I very well might read the second issue because I'm not as good as Oz in knowing the inner workings of all the Robins. So
Like,
that sounds
when he reads
interesting.
issue 2, he'll know he's not either.
I'm not. Either. There's nothing that they said on that table that I didn't already know.
That's why you need issue 2.
There you go. There you go. So, all right. I guess it's time to get out of here. Let us do it. Jay, give me some final thoughts, man.
It feels like you keep getting older and then just random shit will start hurting for no fucking reason.
Okay.
Starting the new year off with a bang.
Oz, final thoughts.
Any of you watching me unveil my package to you, probably wondering why I haven't done a Fallout loot crate in a while, and that's because they haven't sent me one. So I just want to get this message out because I've kind of been in the collectors community, and they're about 3 boxes behind. Yet I was just billed yesterday. So if you're thinking of getting a subscription, they will not send you anything but keep billing you. So keep that in mind. I'll keep you updated when and if I get something. And by the way, I'm still getting emails for advertising for upcoming boxes that seem to have cool stuff, but you know, they're 3 boxes, that's 6 months behind, and they're still billing me. So, you know, I'll keep you updated.
Moses Magnum, final thoughts.
I don't know what to say, man. Thank you for joining us in the new year. Hope you enjoy what we've given you, and we're going to give you more shit. I'm still getting through all the shit I bought at Comic-Con. So expect those in one shot, but you're only going to get them if you hit subscribe, like, and hit the bell. And yeah, that's it.
For the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you. We'll be back next week. So until then, we're out. Hit the thing. Hit the thing. Oh, do I need to hit the thing?
Somebody.
I thought you were doing it.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. Hold on, it's coming. Oh, that's not the right one. Where is it? Where's the outro? Oh, there it is.